the chairperson is not feeling well. And then Honorable Ramulubeng will join us late. Honorable Yako will also join us late. Do we have other apologies? I see a hand of Honorable Bredenbach.
Thanks, Bonani. Good morning, everybody. Honorable Horn will also be joining us late. His flight was delayed. Thanks.
Honorable Sarch.
Thank you, Mr. Bonani. I will also be leaving to join many plenaries, but I'll try and stay on as long as I can. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Okay. In terms of the rules, Rule 159 of the NA rules, in the absence of the chairperson, the committee must elect one of its members as an acting chairperson. Okay, I still see some hands. Honorable Maseko.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. No, the hand was going to respond to your question, unless you are saying you are ready. Thank you.
Oh, okay. At the moment, we've got a slight challenge in that we've got 5 members on the platform, and we need 6 to constitute a quorum.
Sorry, Mr. Raman. Mr. Ramano.
Hello, sir.
Yes, no, I think we were correct because we've got Honorable Wilma, Honorable Kyanki, Honorable Maseko Chele, Honorable Peyton Park, Honorable Engelberg, and Honorable Swart. And I think that is 6 for me. So we will be great.
Oh, okay, you're correct. I didn't see Honorable Engelbrecht. Okay, so now I'm going to proceed and open the floor for nominations for an acting chairperson who will be leading us until the chairperson comes back. Honorable Nibodrahan.
Hi, thank you. Good morning to everyone. Without wasting any more time, I would like to nominate Honorable Richard Yankee to be acting chair until the chair comes back. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder for Honorable Janji?
I second, Chair. Thank you. I second the name of Honorable Janji to be acting chairperson. Thank you.
Honorable Janji, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I accept, Chair.
Do we have any other nomination? It looks like that was the only nomination, so I hereby invite Honorable Janji to chair the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonani, for performing that task. Good morning, colleagues, honorable members. Good morning to everybody on the platform. Honorable DM Olomisa, our inspecting judge, the National Commissioner, and all of your teams. We've already lost about 10 minutes of our time, and therefore we're not going to waste any further time. I'm going to ask that we start straight, Mr. Bonani, with the first item, which is the consideration of our draft report for OCJ. Do we have the report? Thank you. Can somebody take us through this report quickly?
Chairperson, the report was circulated to members, so I propose that maybe you just invite comments page by page.
All right, that's in order. Thank you. Can we proceed therefore page by page so that members can check if there are any corrections or amendments, the report having been read? Can we proceed along those lines? Page 1. Page 2. Members will indicate when they've picked up something. Page 3. Page 4. Yes, move please. Page 6. Page 7. Page 10. Page 11, page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 16. Yes, proceed. Page 20. The last page on the recommendations. I take it that there's been no correction that members have picked up. Can we therefore move towards the recommendation section? The committee, having considered the Office of the Chief Justice Annual Performance Plan 2023-24, recommends that it be approved. The committee, having considered budget 2027 and so on. Don't remove it. Keep it there. Don't remove it.
Okay, no, yeah, I don't know
Okay.
if there were two hands from Honorable Nivotrafian and Honorable Brechenbach here.
I did not see them. Honorable Nieuwhout. Honorable Nieuwhout Drachen. Honorable Breitenbach.
Thanks, Chair. We reserve our position.
Okay, we're coming there.
Sorry, Chair. I move for the adoption of the report, Honorable Neo Dripping.
Okay, is there any supporter for the adoption of the report? Any seconder?
Chair, my hand is up.
Please go ahead, Honorable Jelle. I can't see the hands now because of this report.
No problem, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. I support the adoption of I second, in actual fact, the adoption of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Your report seconded, duly adopted. Honorable
Chair, sorry, my hand was up just to say we also reserve our position. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Swart. Honorable Swart and Honorable Breitenbach indicated that they reserve their positions on this report. Any other member? None. Thank you. We now proceed to the next item. And I'm going to invite the Deputy Minister as well as the National Commissioner. You now have between 30 and 45 minutes to take us through these presentations. Over to you, DM.
Yeah, good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Inspecting Judge, National Commissioner, and your team, and everyone else in the meeting. Chairperson, in view of the amount of time that we have, I will not be making any real remarks, save to concur with what the minister said when he gave the political overview at the time that we appeared before the committee for both departments. So I'll hand over to the National Commissioner, but I'll remain in the meeting until the end. Chair. You are muted, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable DM, National Commissioner. National Commissioner, over to you. Is the National Commissioner on the platform? Honorable
I did see his name earlier on the platform.
Honorable Chairperson, am I audible now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Apologies, Honorable Chairperson. I'm actually connecting from the boardroom in Cape Town. Good morning, Deputy Minister, members of the Portfolio Committee, the Inspecting Judge, and colleagues. As I've indicated, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, we have the executive management connecting in the boardroom in Pretoria. I am connecting in the boardroom in Cape Town because of the meetings that I have to attend this site. Our presentation will be made by the Chief Deputy Commissioner responsible for strategic management, Mr. Katenga. And then the second part, which is the finance part, will be presented by the Acting Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Leboha Marumuli. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, National Commissioner. Can we start with those presentations, Mr. Katenga? Can the boardroom team start, please? Mr. Mtonjeni, I thought you were testing all of this. We're now being delayed by the start of the presentation. What's happening?
Chair, I'm not sure if it's their audio on the side, but it seems to be unmuted, but we're not getting any sound from them. So, or only, I'm not sure it's the audio. Can they maybe try a different device? If Mr. Mr. Zigalala, are you not in the same room with the team? I think even Mr. Zigalala has been cut off, Chair. Miss Mabunda. We are here. What seems to be the issue? Can we proceed? What seems?
National Commissioner, can we get your assistance here? We're running out of time.
Morning, Chair. Are you able to hear us? We are connecting through connection of Miss Anpike Naika, and we'll be projecting through that laptop as well.
Please project and start the presentation.
Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members. Once again, we would like to apologize for the technical challenges. Before I proceed, is the presentation visible and am I audible? I would just like to confirm that.
They are both in order.
Thank you very much, Chair. Before I go through the slides, as I'd indicated earlier, that this is the fourth APP in the 2020-25 strategic planning and implementation cycle. So we are basically in the penultimate year of implementing the mandate of this administration. As such, we have kept our indicators trendable in order for us to be able to measure our outcomes and intended impact over the period. As such, we have tried to remain consistent, and in looking at our performance, we have indicated that for the current financial year, which is 2022-23, we will be coming to provide the annual report, but just to indicate that of the 45 targets or performance indicators, KPIs that we have achieved 39. So which means that we are at a level of 86%. So having taken into consideration the areas of non-achievement, which are mainly under Program 1, and the issue of overcrowding, we have set our targets accordingly. One of the other areas as well where this APP would be different, the 2023-2024 APP, would be different from the 2022-23, is that there were performance indicators that were in the 2022-23 that were enabling us to manage the COVID pandemic within correctional centers. However, in the advent of the state of disaster no longer being in place and managing within our healthcare standards, it was viewed as prudent to remove those performance indicators and include indicators that would be measuring how well we are going towards self-sustainability. As such, we have added performance indicators around offenders participating in agriculture and production workshops, which is in the detail of our performance indicators. Having given that background, I'd like to take us to slide 6, which just indicates our planned policy initiatives for the 2023-24 financial year. And this is mainly centered around the Correctional Services Amendment Bill, which is going to be tabled before Cabinet tomorrow, the 10th of May. Having traversed the Cabinet Committee, where it was supported, it is envisaged that this Correctional Services Amendment Bill should be in Parliament after the engagement of Cabinet tomorrow. If we go to the next slide. Just to indicate in terms of our contribution to the priorities of our development agenda, which is the 7 priorities of the current administration. We have performance indicators that are supporting those priorities. You'll see there that in terms of priority 6, which talks to social cohesion and safe communities, we have the 4 performance indicators which measure the percentage of parolees and probationers without violations, the number of victims participating in restorative justice processes, and then there's a cross-cutting indicator with regards to implementing the National Strategic Plan on GBV. If you look at priority 2, which is around economic transformation and job creation, there are also 4 performance indicators, which is the number of economic opportunities facilitated for parolees and probationers, percentage of youth employed within the department, percentage compliance with the employment equity plan in the filling of positions, and then the percentage of tenders awarded to designated groups. In terms of priority 3, which is education, skills, and health, there's also 4 performance indicators in our APP, which talk to the percentage of sentenced offenders who have correctional sentence plans and have completed correctional programs, the percentage of offenders participating in long and short occupational skills programs, as well as those offenders participating in TVET college programs. And then in terms of priority 1, which talks to a capable, ethical, and developmental state, the indicators of the percentage of investigations completed for reported allegations, percentage of officials charged and found guilty for corrupt activities, and then compliance with our employment equity plan. Just in terms of, as I'd indicated, in measuring our consistency, our outcomes have remained the same, which is the improved safety and security of inmates, parolees, probationers, official stakeholders, and assets and information, as well as improved case management processes for inmates, increased access to needs-based rehabilitation programs to improve moral fiber, successful reintegration of all those under the care of the department, and having a healthy incarcerated population, and also having a high-performing ethical organization, which would be driven by the performance indicators that I have articulated previously. Just in terms of the situational analysis that we considered in coming up with our performance indicators, just in terms of looking at the economy in general and the budgetary constraints, there's an understanding that whilst we have got fiscal constraints, we would have to be able to do more with less. And that also the crime statistics and unemployment indicates that we are going to be having increasing pressure on our population, and that is indicative in the overcrowding within our facilities increasing. As we had targeted 32% overcrowding in the 2022-23 financial year, but actually the overcrowding ended up at 46%. So that indicates that the population is on the rise, and therefore we would have to put in place measures within the cluster to manage that overcrowding within our facilities. If we go to slide 14, just to indicate that there has been a decrease in terms of security incidents overall within our environment, and that is also indicative in the fact that we have achieved all the performance indicators within the security environment for the 2022-23 financial year. I've already indicated the issue of overcrowding, which has an impact on our incarcerated or sentenced population as well as remand detainees. Just in terms of the focus going forward, we are still working towards becoming a self-sustainable organization. And as such, we are investing in our productive capacity in the farming environment and in the workshops environment, as well as increasing the skills in those areas. From a rehabilitation perspective, the emphasis is on ensuring that the population, as is released, is able to access opportunities within the job market. And we're also focusing on interventions for those who have committed GBV offenses and their rehabilitation. In terms of social reintegration, we are going to still emphasize partnerships within government, NGOs, and community-based organizations, as well as partnering with traditional leadership to ensure that our social integration program has more traction. And this also involves increasing our efforts with regards to restorative justice programs. And then from the care perspective, we continue with administering primary healthcare services and also managing state patients within our environment in conjunction with the Department of Health. From an organizational environment perspective, I think there's an emphasis on our human capital, and therefore we have put in place various strategies to ensure that we are resourced accordingly, not only to deliver on the core elements of our value chain of incarceration, rehabilitation, and reintegration, but also on resourcing our self-sustainability framework in order for us to be able to progress in that manner. So those HR initiatives are also underway. If we can go to slide 52, just to indicate that whilst we are implementing our strategy and our KPIs, we are aware of the risks that would impact on us being able to achieve our intended outcomes. And as such, we have identified the 13 strategic risks that are on slide 52. And we have capacitated our risk management environment and resources to enable us to be able to manage those risks in a more effective manner. Chairperson and members, I did not go to the detail of the performance indicators, as the view would be that they have been read. And as such, I will request the CFO to just give us a highlight of the financial the financial implications of this plan.
Good morning, Chairperson. And let me also pass the greetings to the honorable members, the Deputy Minister for Department of Correctional Services, National Commissioner for Department of Correctional Services, Judge Cameron, and colleagues that are on the platform. In terms of my presentation, Chair and honorable members, I'm only going to be focusing on the high level of the expenditure for the MTF period. And I'll move to slide number 58. If you go to slide number 58, bullet number 1, the department expenditure is expected to increase with an average of 2.8% within the MTF period, starting at 25.7 billion in 2022-23 financial year, and then to 28.4 billion to the outer year, 2025-26 financial year. And the allocation of this particular budget within the MTF period, that the incarceration program takes 58.8% of the total allocation over the next 3 years, which equals to 48 billion of that particular total expenditure. While in terms of bullet number 3, the COE, composition of employee, is the largest spending area within the Department of Correctional Services, with 60.2% of the total vote within the MTF period. The baseline increases from 22-23. The baseline increases from 22-23 financial year with 1.3 billion, and it carried out the amount of 3% of the living adjustment over the 3 years. It must also be indicated, Chair, that we had actually an allocation of the COLA, which is the cost of living that we receive from National Treasury within the 22-23 financial year. And moving to the next slide, which is slide number 60. Under slide number 60, we've got earmarked funds within the E&E allocation listed specifically, exclusively according to the appropriation bill. And then there are as follows: we've got an upgrading of the rehabilitation and refurbishment for the Department of Correctional Services facilities, with a period of 451 million in the 2023-24 financial year, and 493 million for 25-26 financial year. And we also further have funds earmarked for Judicial Inspectorate to the value of 76 million in the 22-23 financial year, 23-24 financial year, I beg your pardon, and also 83.5 million for 25-26 financial year. While we've got actually the compensation of ceiling amounts of 17.3 billion in the 23-24 financial year, and to the outer year, we've got 18.927 billion on the 25-26 financial year. And also, Chair and honorable members, DM and National Commission, we've got devolution of funds for public works, which are split into 3 categories. We've got the accommodation charges. In the 23-24 financial year, we've been allocated 690 million. And in the outer year, which is the 25-26 financial year, we've got 753 million. And the second category is the leases, which is on the 23-24 financial year, we've got 125 million allocated. And then the outer year, which is 25-26 financial, 137 million. And lastly is the municipal services with the 1.3 billion, 23-24 financial, and the outer year, 25-26, we're sitting with an allocation of 1.4 billion. I'll go to the next slide, which is slide number 62. In terms of slide number 62, Chair, the slide depicts the total allocation for the Department of Correctional Services under the MTF. And if you look in terms of under administration, you realize that under the MTF, we've got the 4.9 billion allocation for 2023-24 financial year. And then the outer year, 25-26 financial, we've got 4.2 billion, which is the increase, average growth of 3.5%. Incarceration, as I've indicated in my previous slide, that takes the majority of the budget with 15 billion in the 23-24 financial year, and then the 16 billion in the 25-26 financial year, which is 2.8% average growth within the MTF period. Rehabilitation, 2.2 billion, 23-24 financial year, and then the outer year, 25-26, got 2.4 billion, which is 0.9% average growth. Care, 2.4 billion, 23-24 financial year, outer year, 25-26 financial year, 2.6 billion, which is the negative growth of 0.5%. Social reintegration, we've got 1.2 billion in the 23-24 financial year, and in terms of the 25-26 financial year, we've got 1.25 billion, which is the negative of 1.0%. So in terms of the total allocation budget for the MTF period for the Department of Correctional Services, Chairperson, in the 23-24 financial year, we've got 26 billion allocation. And within the MTF period, which is in the 25-26 financial year, we're gonna have 28 billion. So Chair, the other slides unpack each and every expenditure, specifically in terms of the MTF period. So I'm not gonna go through those particular slides because I'll be unpacking all those particular slides 62. I will pause there, Chair. Thanks to the Chairperson, the members, and the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Minister and National Commissioner, that is the submission from the department.
Thank you, Mr. Katenga and the team. DM and National Commissioner. Any other issues you want to add?
The only issue I'd like to add is that the portfolio committee please support this budget and accept this report.
Thank you, Honorable
Thank you,
DM,
Honorable
National
Chairperson.
Commissioner.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. On my side, I don't have anything to add. It's the submission as it has been presented. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you, honorable members. Let me invite you to engage with the presentation. This APP of Department of Correctional Services. I see Honorable Almonivot, Drochen. Is there any other member wishing to interact? Honorable Swart, Honorable Jele, Matemo Maseko Jele. Thank you. In that order, Honorable Breitenbach. Honorable Velma, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good morning to everybody on the platform. I have a few questions in relation to the presentation by DCS. On slide 21, in relation to youth employment, 20% is higher than the previous years. So in the previous years, there's, you've achieved higher. So I want to find out, why have you regressed in this year, whereas in the previous years you've had more successes? The target in terms of people with disabilities is 2%, but you continue on 0.83%. Why is such a low number? It's not even at 1%, and it has been consistently at 0.83%. Doesn't appear that there is an effort to achieve the 2%. I will be asking JIX this question, but I would also like to hear from DCS itself. Just a second. So I'm trying to read my own handwriting and I'm struggling a bit. 56% of JIX inspections at correctional centers, but in the previous years, it was as high as 70%. So from correctional services perspective, why do you think the number is so low? JIX will answer for themselves, but I'd like to hear from correctional services perspective. And slide 29, there's been a big increase in the number of inmates being injured, or the injuries, much higher than in previous years. Are there any specific reasons why this number has increased instead of, decreasing as in previous years? And then I see you've increased management of overcrowding. It was 50%. In previous years, it was much lower, 32%. So I'd just like to understand, overcrowding is a persistent problem that keeps increasing. So I'm just curious about these figures. And then in terms of educational programs, this has also been reduced, okay, 85, yes, it is quite a high number, but in previous years it was much higher, 90% and higher than that. Is there no motivation to, aim for 100% of educational programs, or do you have specific reasons why you put that figure? And just one more. I see that in social work services that has been increased, which is very good. I have a concern though. Do you have enough staff member to cover this high percentage of social services? And my last question, Chair, just recently or in the presentation, you mentioned the state patients. And a few meetings ago, we did receive a briefing on the state patients. My question in this regard, are state patients still mostly kept within the correctional services facilities, or have most of them been transferred to psychiatric institutions? Those are my questions for now, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Nivo Driffen. Honorable Swart.
No, thank you, Chair, and thank you to the Commissioner and his team for the questions. I'll just leave my camera off with your permission due to connection issues. I'd like to just ask a few questions. Firstly, relating to the JIX bill, I would like, and I know Judge Cameron will also be commenting on this, but is it expected that the Constitutional Court deadline where the extension was granted will be met? And can we get an update on progress in that regard? Then we do notice the decrease in the budget for correctional services of almost 509.3 million. Obviously, this will have an impact on the department. And when one also considers that the target for overcrowding has moved from less than 28% in 2021-22 to 32% targeted 2022-23, which ended up at 46%. One understands that the target now is 50% in 23-24. Now, given the reduction in the budget, and obviously this is a concern for us from Parliament's side, who appropriates the funds, does the department foresee major challenges in the provision of services given this increase? Now, as we know, overcrowding remains a perennial problem, with the department being a receiver department. When we traveled around, and particularly when we were at Colesberg, for example, the awaiting trial detainees there, where we saw bail of a very insignificant amount of 100 Rand and 300 Rand, where we understand costs almost 350 Rand plus per day to keep awaiting trial detainees. Does the department believe that sufficient steps are being taken by role players to reduce bail or waiting trial prisoners where insignificant amounts of bail have been set? It was encouraging in Colesberg to hear the magistrate say that where he sets bail and after a week or so that bail is not paid, he will reassess that. So one does see that there is an encouraging relationship there. I'd like the department also just to comment on the public protector's remedial actions and reports. We are concerned that there appears to be non-compliance. If the department can give us an update, in particular report 100, that's 2021-22, that was the appointment of Mr. Sikalala. If we could just get an update on that. Yes, Chair, the department has to do more with less, and so we have sympathies with meeting the budget requirements. What I would like to ask, the issue of rehabilitation, which the budget has been reduced, it would appear to be almost 80 million when compared to previous years. Now, that's obviously a very key aspect of offender reintegration. What we do see is an increase under rehabilitation of machinery and equipment from 38.4 million to 116 million in the next financial year. And this would appear to be positive for rehabilitation. Can the department just comment on that? One presumes that's for rehabilitation, for offenders to learn skills. And it's an issue I've raised before, where, for example, the department in workshops is producing goods such as furniture, vehicles, fixing vehicles. Is there a charge to that? Is there not a possibility of generating income to the department, or does that income go directly to the fiscus? In previous years, it used to go directly to the fiscus, and this could be a way of increased revenue for the department. Could I lastly then, Chair, with your permission, just touch on the termination of the Mangaung private prison contract? We received the notification from the minister where that he notified us that he had issued a notice of termination. And at that stage, he did not want to go into any details, but I noticed on a number of media interviews, both by the minister and the commissioner, that a lot more detail was given. I'd like the commissioner or the deputy minister just to give us some more detail of what is to be achieved in the 90 days, what's going to be happen with staff, with services to be provided, obviously understanding the sensitivity of litigation, but a lot of information was given in the public domain. And I think that we as a portfolio committee would like to hear what the process will be to with the termination of that contract. Thank you, Chair. And that's all from my side.
Thank you, Honorable Swart. Honorable Namatemba Maseko Jele.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Deputy Minister and the National Commissioner and our judge, inspector, and the team. Chairperson, I think I just want to comment on the issue of overcrowding, which is still persistence and which is still causing problems, impacting too much on our budget. I think I'm still going to want to see how the department is planning to assist us on this one, particularly on those. I just want to make an example with the BESTA issue with Tanzania, how smoothly they just brought our own offenders or criminals with easy home. I thought that maybe we must also take cue and try to come with some plans to take people back to their homes and go back and be incarcerated in their areas. That is the first comment. So the second question, the question, Chair, that I have, it is the department is reporting on 48 economic opportunities for offenders, parolees, and probationers, which we also note the increase compared to last year financial year. So the question is that how are they intending to make also the incarcerated ones, offenders currently, to benefit from this program? Is there any plan on that one, Chair? And then on this one of, and how are these offenders are selected, Chair, in terms of those economic opportunities, participation? So I think on the issue of the restoration program, Honorable Swart covered me on the issue of reduction. We still have to hear how the department came to this one, because it's under social reintegration program, Chair, and I think that program is very much important, much as we are really dwelling on the issues of budget, but the issue of integration is very important, particularly, Chair, when we look at the reoffenders, Chair, it's a very serious matter. So maybe if they can explain also to on that one. And I just want to also find out from the department on on this reduction of the leases. What good does it come with? Because I understand, yes, one may welcome that one because we want the department. We've been advocating the issue of department using government buildings when it comes to their offices and other matters. So we want just to check what good does this come with, Chair. On the very same issue of restoration program, there is amount that is allocated. Chair, let us welcome that one. We all believe that maybe it is due to the recommendation of the AG. When the AG was alluding that there is no allocation of funds on that one, and it's a problem. It's a problem, Chair. When it comes to if the department happen to be we in terms of the claims that can be made against the department on this issue, we welcome that one, even if it's a small amount, but it's just a beginning, the beginning. I also would want also, Chair, to find out from the department with the termination of the contract at Mangaung, is that the only Mangaung that is affected on this termination? Because if I'm not mistaken, we have two of these. Are we saying in the other facility, we're still happy and things must go on, and we still give a G4 an opportunity to continue, Chair, having a contract with us on that one. Lastly, this one, it really goes personally to our National Commissioner, because I should think, Chair, there's something serious happening in this facility. The one that we went to before, Kimberly, with the name of Tswana name, if I'm the very beautiful one in the Northern Cape, Chair. Something ugly happened in that, especially when it comes to GBV. There is an official, Chair, a senior official, who hit a woman by the name of Miss Moyo with a fist on the heart. And the reports that we got there, Chair, they are not satisfactory. They are very, very bad. Because, and that gentleman, it doesn't seem from the report, it's alleged that he's not even remorse. He's still continuing, Chair, harassing that poor woman. So I would request that the commissioner, the national commissioner, intervene and go to that place and give us a report, Chair, as to how is that matter going to be handled, because it seems as if that official, Chair, everybody or everyone, senior people, they don't want to deal with this matter. I'm not sure, because when I was talking to the area commissioner, Ms. Pillay, she said she was not aware about that. But the whole team of the officials, there was a lot of noise. Even the what is it? The union guys, Chair, they were on us. I don't think that situation there, it's good. It brings us good results. I think somebody will die there if we don't take care of that situation. Commissioner, National Commissioner, can we get a report when we come back? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Jele. Honorable Breitenbach.
Thank you, Chair. I have been largely covered by my colleagues. I would also like an update on the JICS bill. I would like a lot more detail on the cancellation of the contract with Mangaung, with that correctional facility. I'd like a lot more detail on how Correctional Services proposes to integrate it into their current structures. Do they have sufficient resources? Do they have people trained sufficiently in terms of the surveillance equipment? Are they able to optimally utilize all the facilities in that prison? A lot more information on that. How precisely are they going to do this within the given time period? Overcrowding, yes, it remains a perennial problem. And again, with regards to the Mangaung prison, do they propose to continue to utilize it as a maximum security prison? And are they going to, or in a year's time, are we going to see that prison also dilapidated and degraded as a result of chronic overcrowding? Are they going to stick to the strict number of bed spaces? I'd like some more detail about that. I'd like to know what processes they're going to put in place. The Mikado prison, that contract comes to an end in the very foreseeable future. Is there some sort of plan? Is there some sort of proactive steps being taken to integrate that prison into DCS? Or is that also going to be a last minute scramble? I'd like to know about, what is being put in place, what negotiations are taking place, what is the issue with regards to that? For the time being, those are my issues. The rest have been covered adequately by my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Breitenbach. That would have been the last member asking. National Commissioner. And your team, if we can get the responses to those issues raised by members.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members for the questions. I will start with the questions that have to do with the 2 PPP contracts, the one Kutamasi Tumule and the other Mangaung. With Kutamasi Tumule, actually with both, honorable members will remember that we did appear before the committee to present takeover plans and also the task teams that we have appointed to do work on that. Since then, the task teams have been doing work. Now we have a development of the termination notice of Mangaung. We had to adjust the work of the task teams to now accommodate the eventuality that in the coming less than 90 days, we might have to take over Mangaung. But specific to Kutamas Ntimule and its comparison with Mangaung, the facility is running without major problems or problems that would need an intervention. But just to satisfy ourselves, in the past week, I actually went to the facility, sat down with our controllers and also the management there to discuss, check the relationship, whether the contractor is responsive, what are the problems, what is it that we need to do. We have agreed with the controller that we will need to add more capacity in terms of members, especially on the side of monitoring, the management side, given the fact that the contract is nearing an end. I've already indicated that we have task teams that are working on the takeover process. With regards to so with Kutamas Ntumule, we closely continue to interact, and issues that are raised either by staff or offenders or members of the public, we will attend to them in that manner, so that we don't end up having problems with Kutamas Ntumule. Mangaung, we did issue out the termination notice. I've already indicated that we repurpose the teams to look at what is it that needs to be done within the 90-day period. Actually, we spent last week 2 days working on the countdown plan. We brought all the functions in the department that are relevant to us being able to take over within the 90 days. Finance, facilities, including the integrated security systems, and also in answering that question specifically, we actually have the integrated security systems running in the department. So the system that is there in Mangaung is the same system that is there in our new generation facilities. And under facilities management, we are managing those contracts, so we will be able to take over and manage that. We also already having interactions. We had an interaction with the majority labor union for Mangaung. We have agreed that we will then form a task team that will be a task team of the employees, the labor unions that are there, and we will then work on the process of assessing, vetting, taking the training if there's a need for retraining, and also see how do we then continue to resource Mangaung. We have indicated that that the contracts that the employees have in Mangaung are contracts that they have with G4S. What we then have to do is to see how we can design a process of absorption or recruitment, but that will have to comply with public service regulations and the Public Service Act without putting the department at a disadvantage, but at the same time without necessarily increasing unemployment through our interventions in Mangaung. We have developed streams in the different functional areas, as I've indicated, including security. So in the coming weeks, there will be assessments, there will be specific interventions that will be presented for approval. On the issue of the budget, at the moment with Mangaung, we are spending 45 million on a monthly basis. That is the budget that the department will then claw back in taking over the facility. We are currently looking at options. One of the options is to repurpose the facility so that it is utilized for more on rehabilitation and correctional programs as compared to it being a facility that's utilized focusing on accommodating high-risk offenders only. It will be a process, honorable members and honorable chairperson. When it comes to the approach, it will also be dictated to by the response from BCC. Also, we have been exchanging letters between ourselves and BCC, with BCC requesting to have a meeting with the department. We have agreed that we will have that meeting without prejudice to both parties, and that meeting is taking place on the 11th of May. We hope that we'll be able to at least get to a process that will not lead both parties into a protracted legal battle on this matter of the takeover. I have not been specific to the plans with regards to activities because one is presenting on the side of caution, given that there might still be litigation on this matter. We will be able to provide to the portfolio committee a revised plan, a plan that now takes into consideration that there is an eventuality of us taking over from Mangaung in less than 90 days. We will be able to provide that revised plan next week. The work streams were finalizing the updates that we did on the plan in the meeting that I said we held last week, the 2-day meeting, just to ensure that we repurpose the work of the task teams. On the issue of the public protector, we have met with the public protector to discuss the responses that the department is supposed to be, or the responsiveness of the department, including implementation of remedial action. And one of the weaknesses in the system on the side of the department, we have realized that there was no proper central coordination. We have agreed with the public protector that there will be one point of entry in the department and one point of entry on the side of the public protector. We've also agreed that we will have meetings on a quarterly basis, and on the course that the public protector tables, we have availed ourselves as the department or inquiries to have meetings with the public protector for us to understand better what responsiveness does the public protector expect from the department. On the matter of Mr. Zikalala, we did implement the recommendations of the public protector. I will also submit a report to the committee on that within 7 days. It includes consequence management steps that we did take against the officials of the department that were involved in the recruitment, selection, and interview process. On the issue of crowding and the reduction of bail, we work closely with the Justice Department and also the courts. There are instances where there will be magistrates that would not approve our applications for reduction of bail or alternative sentencing. We actually ensure that we collect the statistics and we submit them to the judicial structures in the regions. In this instance, it will be provinces, and we also submit those statistics to a forum chaired by the Chief Justice, where the departments of the JCPS cluster and the judiciary needs to look into processes as to how do we ensure that they are efficient and they are effective. The target of overcrowding increasing is basically because of the material conditions that we face in the correctional facilities. The numbers continue to grow, and that is related to the successes in the criminal justice system. We have put together a memo to the JCPS cluster that we will be presenting it today to the DGs and also tomorrow to the ministers. The crux of the presentation is to highlight the fact that our correctional facilities continue to be overpopulated, and that affects the strength of the structures. It leads to further dilapidation. Also highlight the fact that it affects the offender official ratio or member ratio, and that's the reason actually for an increase in the security incidents in our facilities, because now you have a correctional services official looking after a bigger number as compared to previously. And then thirdly is to also highlight that the cost to the budget of the department, the cost of housing these offenders to the budget of the department now becomes more detrimental. And we are basically saying to the cluster ministers and the DGs that we need to be supported to present this to cabinet and be given a bit of reprieve when it comes to the budget. We have to admit offenders. It is an order of court, and they will continue to do that. But we thought that it is important for us to highlight to cabinet that we are sitting on a ticking time bomb when it comes to overcrowding. The issue of transfers, we have formed an overcrowding task team that looks at the overcrowding levels in specific management areas, regions, and we try to see how we can transfer across regions to assist also those offenders that would want to serve their sentences closer to home. On the issue of the reduction of leases, if we reduce the leases, it will mean that we will have at least a space in the budget to utilize the money to maintain our own buildings or to build. That's why we will be starting the first community corrections office to be built by offenders before in July in this financial year. And after that, we'll continue to roll those out. Most of our leases are actually in the community corrections space. These are our community corrections offices. The problem is that some of them are not in places that are ideal for our employees to work in terms of safety, but also in terms of the working environment. And also the landlords do not move with speed in terms of equipping these offices with equipment that would make the working environment conducive. Some of them don't have air conditioners. When it's hot, it's very hot. It's just unbearable for our officials, and that's why we have taken a decision that we need to reduce the lease portfolio and rather increase the portfolio of government buildings. The issue of Solopile, yes, Honorable Masukotela, I will go and look into this matter and submit a report. I will look into it very closely for one to be able to give specifics with regards to the actions that we have taken as a department to protect Ms. Moyo or any other official that might be under threat or intimidated by the said official. On the issue of the last issue, Honorable Chairperson, that I would like to respond is the issue of ensuring that the facility Mangaung doesn't deteriorate. As part of the task teams, we have allocated a team of engineers from the department that will do an assessment, and we will start working on how we should have a seamless changeover from or takeover from Mangaung to DCS. We are going to integrate Mangaung into functioning of the department, and that includes also paying municipalities for municipal charges, because at the moment they are paid directly by Mangaung. I'm going to request, Honorable Chairperson, that CDC Kadenga, with the support of colleagues that work technically on planning, help us by responding to the questions that were asked by Honorable Nuvo Drechens, and also colleagues can add on the answers that I've given on questions raised by Honorable Swart and Honorable Breitenbach and Honorable Masiko Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Apologies for taking too long.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. I am going to just address one or two issues, and then I'll ask the Chief Director responsible for strategic planning to talk to the technical issues around the performance indicators, and then the acting CFO and the acting CDC HR will also address specific issues. From my side, there was an issue from Honorable Swart around the issue of revenue retention. Just to indicate that, initially we were transferring our funding back to the National Revenue Fund, but I think during the course of the 22-23 financial year, National Treasury has granted the department the opportunity to retain the 100% of all revenue that is earned from sales of goods and services. There was an issue raised by Honorable Maseko Jele on the transfer of or transferring of foreign nationals as a means of alleviating overcrowding. Just in terms of our position as the department, we are engaging on developing a position paper around the modalities of how to go about that, which will eventually end up in a submission to Parliament to Cabinet with regards to actually operationalizing that. But just to indicate as well that in the overall scheme of issues, the foreign national population as a percentage of the total population is not that material. However, those processes will be considered going forward. I think I'll hand over to DC Naika to handle the other issues. and then it should be followed by the PFO and acting CDCHR.
Thank you, CDC. Good morning to the honorable members of Portfolio Committee, Deputy Minister, National Commissioner, and senior management, all protocol observed. I'm going to try to answer some technical questions on the TIDs and the target setting for the APP. If we can start with the question on the target for people with disabilities, just to indicate that we are projecting a small increase over the MTF period for the target of people with disabilities. The target is informed by the national directives that we receive from the Department of Labor as well as the Department of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities. And the target is also mindful of the fact that the DCS environment has associated risks inherently in it. And so all that, those considerations are made in terms of the target setting on people with disabilities. But we are comfortable because we have been achieving those at least over the last financial year. And then if we move on to the question regarding the target that was set by the JIGs. So on the inspection of correctional facilities, we do engage with JIGs frequently, to be able to assist in terms of stats and any of the challenges they're experiencing with their performance information specifically. In terms of their performance for the last financial year, they were almost at 56% of inspections. It was just under 56%. So the target for the financial year 23-24 is in line with their baseline performance. And from our engagements with JIGs, we understand that there are several constraints that they have, in terms of funding and personnel. That has also been the basis of which has informed their target. So that is our understanding of, the target setting of JIGs, taking into consideration their baseline performance. A 56% target is realistic in this case. Then if we look at the injuries and the target that we've set for injuries. So injuries, well, overall, in terms of security, there has been a small reduction of security breaches across the financial years, and we're projecting the same thing to happen over the MTF period. So we are projecting to have fewer incidents, although the inmate population is increasing, and we know that with an increase in overcrowding, the associated risks are your injuries will increase. So between the 21 and 22 financial year, we reported 3,738 injuries in 21-22 and 3,759 in 22-23. So there was a slight increase, but looking at the increase of the inmate population of almost 10%, that increase is minimal. Obviously, over a period of time, we want to decrease that further, over the MTF, but looking at the associated risks as well. But in the previous financial year, which was 2021, we had well over 5,500 injuries. So there is an improvement, and that's due to all the security initiatives that the department is putting in place over the financial year. Then in terms of overcrowding, just to add, I think in terms of what the Commissioner has already said, just to mention that in the last financial year alone, we saw an increase of 13,833 inmates for the reporting period, April to March 2023. Remand detainees alone increased by 8,726 and sentenced offender population by 5,107. During the financial year, the department also lost about 1,222 bed spaces. So the challenge there, that obviously overcrowding is going up, at this stage of 46% is a concern as well for the department. But the current situation and the population that we see has what we've based the target on for overcrowding. In terms of education and the programs of education, skills, like social work services, just to say for education, the target that we are setting for education is actually based on the numbers that we see. There's been a slight decrease in terms of participation. So we moved from 7,692 to 7,264. And that decrease was considered especially when we look at the enrollment numbers and our ability to monitor participation. So participation is monitored much more closely, especially when the numbers maybe have decreased. With that, we've actually then looked at the target of 85%. In terms of social work services, so with social work services, we actually take into consideration the number of social workers that we have in the department, and we look at that in the target setting. The challenge is that as the inmate population goes up and your denominator increases, then your performance tends to decrease, because with the same number of social workers, you cannot reach the same percentage of inmate population. So that are some of the challenges we experience with social work specifically. In terms of state patients, I think the process of DCS managing state patients is consistent. We do offer care to state patients that are within correctional facilities until such time that a facility becomes available in a specialized hospital for the state patients, and they are receiving treatment from the department psychologists while they are under our care. I think, CDC, that covers most of the target setting questions. If I can then ask HR to add on the
okay.
CFO, sorry.
Thanks, Chair. I'll quickly respond to the question that was raised by Honorable Swar relating to the reduction of the budget. Indeed, we've been year in, year out, we've been having extra reduction of budget. But what we have done as the department, we have started engaging National Treasury specifically to demonstrate to them the challenges of reduction, the reduction of our budget within the department. To date, we've already had 2 meetings with them. The first meeting, it was between the National Commissioner, myself, and National Treasury, just to be able to engage and demonstrate to them in terms of what are the disadvantages when they're reducing the budget. The second engagement was between Finance and National Treasury to be able to further try to be able to demonstrate to them in terms of the implication of the reduction of the budget. So, Honorable Swab, the issue of the reduction of the budget, we've put it into the door of National Treasury as a concern, and it's work in progress. And we will report as we move on in terms of our success stories between us as Treasurer. I will pause there. Thanks.
Sorry, Honorable Chairperson and members. I think from our side, that would be the responses that would be provided. I am not too sure if we would have missed anything, but will be guided by the committee. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Katenga. Honorable members, I'm eager that we move to JICS, but before that, I will allow you, if there's any quick follow-up. I also want to make a suggestion to you before you take any follow-up, that perhaps on the issue of the Mangaung Correctional Center, we can agree, and I want to make this suggestion, that we ask the department to put together this takeover plan, this countdown plan of 90 days, and that they add to that the areas of risk as they take over. We ask them to submit that plan to us. And secondly, we design a dedicated portfolio committee session to have a focused discussion on that, so that we do justice to that kind of intervention. That would be my suggestion on that issue, so that we get much deeper into it. And it might even assist the department, that kind of a discussion, instead of, because I think the issues have been raised by Honorable Breitenbach and Honorable Swart, but we might need more detail on this. It's such an involved issue. That would be my suggestion to you. But is there any quick follow-up? And would you agree to that proposal? Thank you. Honorable, Honorable Jele, and then Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Chair. I agree to that proposal, Chair. The only one quick one, Chair, that I would request that the National Commissioner must look into, it is the issue of Kimberley. That situation there, Chair, it's really not, it's very inhumane, particularly when it comes to mothers and children. Those children, there isn't even a grass where maybe when they want to go out and have a break outside for the children to play. I think, please, can you please check into that one, because we got the report, Chair, that there was a proposal that they needed to build another one or something to deal with that situation, because it's very old, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Jele, you're breaking up. So are you done now? You are
No, I'm done,
muted.
Chair. I don't know if maybe
Thank you.
it's the Commissioner hear me.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
okay.
if
I got the last part.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Swart.
No, thank you, Chair. I support your proposal, just with a slight caveat that the department did indicate that it's mindful of the possibility of litigation. So I think we need to also just bear that in mind. If there's any issues that the department might be concerned about from a litigation perspective, maybe we should give them that flexibility as well. But I do support your proposal. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Swart. A quick response to Honorable Jele's question, and then we move. And I'll invite the DM or the National Commissioner if they want to make final comments.
Chair, all I can say is that we definitely accept your proposal, that we have a plan. That plan is also going to help us as a department and the leadership to know exactly where the challenges will be and so on. And obviously, as Mr. Swart has said, we are expecting some kind of opposition on the part of Chief Force and so on. But you definitely take the point you are making. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable DM. National Commissioner, your last word. And a quick response to Honorable Jele's comment.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, Deputy Minister. With regards to the issue of the children and the mothers that are incarcerated, we normally work with the Department of Social Development and also Health to look at how do we improve the environment. But with regards to the state of the facility, it is our responsibility. So I will take it upon myself that we go and look at the environment there from the point of view of what has been indicated, and we move on it. Apart from that, I'm just grateful for the opportunity that the department has been given to appear before the portfolio committee. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, and also the Deputy Minister for the support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Your line is very bad. Thank you to DCS. We now, honorable members, are going to move to JICS. Time now is 10:40. I'm going to invite the inspecting judge to lead his team. They've been with us from the start of this meeting. For the inspecting judge, as he normally does, to lead the presentation by making his remarks and together with his team. Over to you, Inspecting Judge Cameron.
Many thanks, Honourable Acting Chairperson, and good morning to the members of the committee and to our colleagues in the department.
just to key in with what National Commissioner Tobukali has just said, we're very pleased and honored to present to the committee our operational plan, APP indicator and budget for the coming year. We note with respect and appreciation the rigor and exaction with which the committee exercises its duties of oversight. I was going to say, holds us in terror, Mr. Chair. This serves as a constant and sometimes corrective reminder to us of the high standard to which we must hold ourselves in our work. As you've indicated, Mr. Chair, Mr. Missa, our CEO, and his capable executive will steer the committee through the substantive aspects of our presentation. By way of introduction, I simply want to focus on the issue that has already arisen, which is the question of the autonomization of JICS and the necessary steps towards that. The committee well knows that on the 4th of December 2020, the Constitutional Court gave a significant order requiring JICS to be made substantively autonomous. And Parliament and the committee will soon have before it amendments to the Correctional Services Act, as well as the JICS bill. I remind the committee that to our joy, the committee said that it was waiting with open arms for both to be presented. That followed on your permanent predecessor, Mr. Chair, Mr. Bululani Magwanishe, who indicated that the two statutory processes should be twinned. We have now had a significant indication from the Minister of Finance, which has secured funding for JICS in its independent form, including what we regard as relatively minimal amounts of additional funding to enable us to take over the functions which are at present performed in relation to our budget and our employee program, especially by the department. So the difficulty which I want to flag in relation to the JICS bill is that the department has suggested that the Correctional Services Act amendments on their own will satisfy the Constitutional Court order, and therefore they should be put through in what remains of the legislative year for this committee, and that the JICS bill, which is a considerably more complex piece of legislation, should await its turn. The JICS bill will, however, have a major impact on JICS's operations. Our new legislation, powers and form, will require new approaches to the very things that we're discussing today, Mr. Chair: our organizational strategy, our structure, our operations, and our budget. Beyond ensuring JICS's practically effective independence, our new organizational form, with the enabling statutes that your members have raised, Mr. Chair, will A, compel DCS to report a far wider range of conduct to us. This includes escapes. As we mentioned to the committee when we appeared before it last month, at present, the department is not required to report escapes to us, and JICS has no power to investigate escapes. The new statute, as soon as it gets through this committee and parliamentary processes after necessary scrutiny, will change that. Secondly, B, it will expand JICS's investigative mandate in all areas. Thirdly, C, it will grant JICS more effective powers of recommendation. Mr. Chair, we chose an intermediate model. A few jurisdictions say that the Inspectorate has power to enforce. Some say, like we do from 1998, that the Inspectorate has only power to speak. It's got a voice, as we were reminded last month, incidentally. We go the middle way. We make a recommendation. If DCS refuses to implement it, it must give us reasons. We think that is an effective compromise. D, this is very important to the committee, Mr. Chair. The new format will give this committee and this parliament rather than DCS, decision-making power over our budget. This is a particular form that we are confident will enable us to overcome persistent disablement and inhibition in regard to our resources and capacity. All this makes planning more important than ever. Mr. Chair, having said I'm only going to make these brief introductory comments, allow me please, in the light of one question that has already arisen and that Mr. Missa will now address, to say this. Central to understanding JICS's work is its unique ICCV system, Independent Correctional Center Visitors. It's a network of well over 200 trained, on-the-ground, hands-on persons who are employed by JICS. All of that has been sorted out during the tenure of Mr. Missa. They used to be sort of hangers-on on unsecure contracts. They are now employed by JICS. It's important to see, Mr. Chair, that the ICCVs visit every correctional center in the country, either daily, a number of them are in the prisons for 2 or 3, up to 5 hours every single day, 5 days a week, or at least once or twice a week with the smaller centers. As your committee knows from alarmed complaints that were made to us over a weekend, our system also functions over weekends. We were very proud and received praise from your members for very quick response one weekend in the middle of the uprising in KwaZulu-Natal, the insurrection, as the president once rightly called it, and we were able to report back. So let me wrap up, Mr. Chair. This means that our correctional centers are under closer external scrutiny, closer independent scrutiny, virtually daily than most prison systems anywhere else in the world. So in addition to the ICCV's monitoring, we also do thematic and unannounced inspections. Those are the ones that appear in our operational plan, and we subject ourselves willingly to your and your committee's scrutiny for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Inspecting Judge. Over to you, CEO.
Greetings, good morning to our Honorable House Chairperson, Honorable Members, our Inspecting Judge, Judge Edwin Cameron, Deputy Minister Holomisa, National Commissioner, and all colleagues on the platform. With your permission, Honorable Chair, I will keep the camera off because of bandwidth and also disturbances. Allow me just to also just add on the JICS national government component and the JICS bill as presented by the IJ. We have prepared what we would call 2 cabinet separate memorandums, which is already in the hands of the National Commissioner to ensure that these 2 cabinet memos are finalized by the department and transacted to cabinet in due course. The first one covers, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, constituting JICS as a national government component, as already deliberated with the 2 honorable ministers, Minister Gondongwana and Minister Lamola, on the 10th of March, which paved the way for us to transact what we would call establishing JICS as a national government component. So that is Cabinet Memo 1. Cabinet Memo 2 covers, parallel to that one, a JICS draft bill, which also is in its draft stage in a Cabinet Memo form in the hands of the National Commissioner, and we await directions from him to ensure that this is speedily transacted to Cabinet and thereafter submitted to this esteemed committee for further deliberations and action. I'm given to understand, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, that there is also a 3rd CAB memo, which is actually CAB Memo 1, that has already passed the doors of Cabinet, dealing with what we would call the Correctional Services Amendment Bill emanating out of the Sonke Gender Justice case of the Constitutional Court, as alluded to by the IJ. I think these are the few areas that I just wanted to cover so that Honorable Members, Honorable Chair is well aware. Let's move into what we would call the presentations before Parliament today, and that is to cover the operational plan of JICS. Now, Honorable Chair, honorable members, colleagues on the platform, you're well aware that JICS cannot have its own APP. Reasons being is that we are within a program within the Department of Correctional Services, and until such time, we remain as a sub-program within Program 1 of the department under administration. So JICS prepares what we would call an annual operational plan, which covers all its activities and all its operational functions in order to ensure that there is monitoring and effective control of the organizations overseeing its mandate functions to the department. Now, maybe just to cover on slide 9, this area where we'd ensure that annually we have an operational plan, we have an annual performance plan aligned to that of the department, we have in place a governance calendar, we have an M&E system of monthly reporting on all activities within the organization, we cover our quarterly reporting, and thereafter this quarterly reporting is then consolidated in what we would call an annual report, which we are currently all busy with at the moment, and this is a high season. Apart from this, we regularly deal with the JICS policies under this activity, and this activity is actually program strategic management and leadership. The one that is most important at this point in time to this esteemed committee, and I'm not going to go into details of all these slides because I think they are quite effective for you to all go through. Let me go to slide 18. This is the one to deal with the budget, and I think that is of interest to the committee. We currently been allocated in terms of the 2023-2024 performance cycle, a budget allocation of 78 million. Now, once again, maybe this is an operational budget. This is the budget that has been allocated to us through the department under a sub-program of administration of the Program 1, an amount of 78 million in order for us to oversee that very same department. But what might be of interest to our chairperson and the esteemed committee and colleagues on the platform is to say what is required to be, what is the budget required for JICS to be constituted as a national government component. And we've already come to some form of agreement between the department and National Treasury, and that sum is 151 million. So there is a difference in shortfall of approximately 70 million that needs to be reprioritized in terms of budget allocations and in terms of the baseline budgets determined by National Treasury, as already discussed with Minister Gondangwana and Minister Lamola, as alluded to on the 10th of March this year. So broadly, Honorable Chair, honorable members, colleagues, we are in principle agreeing that this is the amount that is required in order for JICS to be constituted as a national government component. And as I speak to you now, it is in the final stages of discussions with National Treasury and the department as represented by the National Commissioner in that meetings to finalize the submissions. So what is the main indicator? The main APP indicator in the department DCS under sub-program, under Program 1, under sub-program 1 as JICS is on slide 25. Here you'd find the inspection slide. This slide covers what we would say the 2023-2024 performance indicator for JICS. Now, if you look at the actual achievements of 2020-2021, as alluded to by some of the esteemed members, was 56%, which equates to about approximately 137 inspections conducted over a performance cycle of 243 centers active during a performance cycle. Now, if you look at the actual achievements in 2021-2022, where our esteemed member, Honorable Neerwoud, questioned the 70%, here you would see that 70% is inclusive of what we would call unannounced inspections. And that totaled up to approximately 34 inspections. Our baseline is 136 annually. So if you add the 34 to the 136, gives you 170, which thus equates to an outcome of 70%. But within our national inspection plan, our target is set at 136. As you can see, in 2022-2023, 56% is set as a target, 136 over 243 centers. Honorable Chair, honorable members, I must once again indicate the lack of capacity in this area. we only have 4 inspectors that conducts these inspections. And once JIGS is duly constituted as a national government component with the additional human resource capacitation, JIGS envisaged to achieve a 100% target, Honorable Chair, honorable members, ensuring that all 243 centers are inspected over a performance cycle annually and rated accordingly and presented to this esteemed House. So the next slide, slide 26, gives you more details on what we would call the outcomes and the target sets per quarters. Quarter 1, you see a 15%, 36 out of the 243. Quarter 2, it's added from the 36 to give us a further 37, which equates to 30%. And then from the 30%, it moves on into the third quarter of 41%. The 73 added to a 27 that takes place within the third quarter equates to approximately 100 over the 243 centers. Lastly, but in the last quarter, you'd see the total achieved 136 over 243, which gives us a 56%. So here you again have it, Honorable Chair, honorable members, in this performance cycle, commencing 1 April 2023, we are still on the target set of 136 over 243 centers, excluding the unannounced inspections that is conducted by some of the senior managers within JIGS. Maybe just the last slide to indicate the mandatory reportings. It's on slide 28. This is of interest to you, where we report on all deaths within these centers. We receive this information through our ICCV program and also collaborate this information with the department, stats that's received, the natural and unnatural deaths. We also interrogate this, the use of mechanical restraints and segregations, and also, most importantly, the use of force. And these are all contained in our quarterly reports and our annual reports and presented to this esteemed House on a quarterly and an annual basis. Honorable Chair, maybe the last area, which the judge spoke of, the ICCV program, this falls within the last program area, which is the management of the regions. You would find this from slide 30 onwards, that deals with the operations of the regions, regional complaints mechanisms, the community participation of JIGS in outreach programs, the Visitors Committee, which is a statutory aligned committee in terms of the Correctional Services Act, specifically Section 94, where we have approximately 36 seats. It's on the last slide. You find it on slide 33. 36 seats. We have included one more, Honorable Chair, to make it 37 this year. And in fact, the one more that we've included is a new management area, that is the Uppington management area that we've included as a seat also. So this gives you 37 seats. At each quarter having a meeting times 4, it equates to 148 BC meetings held throughout the country. And this is also reported on a quarterly basis and also on an annual basis in our annual reports. It is a statutory obligation, which in terms of Section 94, we report to this esteemed House accordingly. Honorable Chair, I would pause here and I would hand back to the inspecting judge if there's any further inputs from his side. I'll take this opportunity of thanking you, Honorable Chair, and thanking the honorable members. Thank you very much.
No further inputs. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We
Thank you,
welcome the
Inspector
committee.
Judge, and thank you to the CEO for the presentation. Honorable members, I invite you to interact with the presentation from JIGS. Any comments, questions, clarities on your side? If I don't see a hand, it will be an indication that you're all happy and you don't want to say anything. Is that a fair assessment? Then thank you, honorable members. There doesn't seem to be any gap you have identified.
Chair.
Looks like you've done a good work, Inspecting Judge and the CEO.
Thank you, Chair. My apologies.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, just to appreciate, Chair, the presentation and also note the issues that they have raised. our quietness, Chair, should not be taken as if maybe we really don't care and we did not hear. We are saying thank you, Judge, for the good work, and whatever that you are doing there, it really it is amazing, and it makes us also to see that something is happening. So we note also the issue, Chair, of the human resource. We need to capacitate them in terms of human resource so that they can be able to do their inspection properly. I think that will be my comment for now, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Jale. Honorable Breitenbach.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I echo the thanks for the report and for the good work done by the Judicial Inspectorate. I do not want them to think, though, that we have entirely forgotten the Thaba Bester debacle, and we will come back to that when the committee revisits that issue as a committee. So do not construe my silence as complete happiness, because it isn't, but thank you for the report and thank you for the good work that you do.
Thank you, Honorable Breitenbach. Those are the brief comments, Inspecting Judge. Just to indicate from the acting chair position to say that I think we have received the read and absorbed the presentation you've made. Members have indicated. But to make a point that you will also know that the annual performance plan constitutes a promise. So you came to make a promise here today about what you're going to be doing. It's not often that you ask a lot about when somebody makes a promise, but we will meet with you when we have to assess that promise in the form of an annual report. But as things stand, members seem to be saying that the information presented in the APP is credible in the manner that has been done, and therefore are looking forward to how those will be implemented. Over to you for your final word.
No final words. Thank you, Mr. Chair, except that I wish to assure the committee with enormous humility that we never, ever believe that the committee is taking its eyes off us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inspecting Judge, your CEO and the team. We're going to leave it there with jigs. We obviously are going to be monitoring the progress on the bill itself, as well as Honorable Breitenbach is indicating. We are going to reconvene a session of the committee to take stock of the Thaba Bester well-orchestrated plan issue. I never even call it an escape. It never was. Thank you very much. We now can release you and say thank you. With that, honorable members and Sia, I think that would have been our last item for the day. Am I correct?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. With that, I want to say thank you very much to all of you colleagues, honorable members, those that are debating this afternoon. Good luck on the budget vote of the OCJ. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you,
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable members. Bye-bye.
You have been a good chair, Mr. Honorable Magwanisha must be careful.
Bye.